We are in the year mark of what has been the pandemic. COVID-19 came to the States this time last year, and a lot has changed. I remember reporting about this time last year about how a street hockey program was just received grant funding from the CPA to create a new rink over at the basketball courts at Stage Fort Park. There was excitement in the air, players were eager to get on the court, and then everything changed. Now, a year later, their efforts during the pandemic have not been dormant. Carl Ellis IV and his family and their whole team at Young Legends Street Hockey have been working with their players, with organizations, local businesses to really try to amp up the fundraising to kind of finalize the number of costs that it will take to create this new rink over at Stage Fort Park. I had the opportunity to speak with Carl yesterday, and he made a presentation to the city council, and they just exuded excitement for what this would provide, not only for the city, but also for, as we see tourists coming in, as we celebrate the 400th. So for those of you who don't know, the Young Legends Street Hockey is a program that provides street hockey to kids and adults here in the city, and it is a sight to see. It's very fun. They enjoy playoffs and having a lot of fun, but they also do tournaments. It's not just something that you see people do on the streets. It's a big deal here in the city, and so to have this rink and to have a really nice quality rink is one thing, but to get backing from the people over in Leominster is another. This new rink Carl mentioned is going to be a showcase rink. And so that means that they're going to have national tournaments here in the city for people all over, and that they're going to get some of the best quality materials for the tiling of the rink and for as they look at boards and bleachers and lights. So it's going to be really exciting. Carl mentioned that the estimated cost for the entire project is $425,000, and they're trying to finish out the fundraising sooner rather than later because they're ready to go. They're seeking to do kind of the construction this fall, and that would take 2 to 3 months, and then to really get people on the court or on the rink as soon as possible.
Very
So
cool.
where will the rink actually be in Stage Fort Park, Taylor?
So if you guys know the basketball courts over there, it's going to be taking over that space. They already play there as well, so it's not like it's a new space for them, but it's going to be transformed into an actual rink. There's a photo of it on our website. He had a great rendering of what it would look like as well. But they kind of the city and the street hockey identified that while we had the occasional dunks over at the court, there's not enough to kind of keep the basketball court as it is right now, and they thought they could better utilize it for a rink for all people, not just the program, but for really everybody, whether they're playing street hockey, lacrosse, roller derby, just wanting to hang out there. So it's going to be I'm expecting it to be a really big part of the community once it comes to the city, hopefully this fall.
I'm up for some roller derby. I
was going to say, Saturday afternoon.
I still have my helmet. Okay, I can go look in that closet for my helmet. Yeah. So Taylor, we have some new developments as far as the boat storage facility over at Cape Ann's Marina Resort.
Right. So I guess new developments versus the lack thereof. And for the boat storage unit, for those who've been following the Cape Ann Marina's journey to try to build an indoor boat storage unit, they have pulled out their application for special permits, requesting that they've been working in the process of building that kind of structure over there. And that comes after a lot of discussions within the city and a lot of opposition from residents over in that area, kind of saying that's going to obstruct their views, it's going to create some shadowing. And while the people over at the marina had really done some extensive research, it wasn't enough to sway the city, some of the city councilors who said that they would not recommend it to the full council as it currently stands. And so they're pulling their application. I spoke with their attorney, Deborah Ellison, and she had mentioned that they're pulling it out to kind of as they think about what their next steps are. So it's not meaning that they're not going to continue to try to do the project, but as of right now, they need to take a second to reevaluate where they are, what they need to do, next steps, and how they might move forward from this. So a lot of those details and a lot of our coverage through that can be found on our website as well.
Gotcha. What is going on with the damaged towers over at Our Lady of Good Voyage?
Yeah,
So
so you
fun.
guys know the big blue towers over there in downtown, and I spoke with Father Jim the other day, and he had mentioned how fishermen would often, as they're sailing in, they knew they were close to home because of those big blue towers and what they represented in the city. And one of those unfortunately got damaged by some heavy winds last week. Some of the tin tiling had been blown off by some pretty severe winds. I don't know if you guys experienced it. I know us at the Gloucester Daily Times definitely felt the freezing cold and the blustering wind. But these towers did see some damage, and Father Jim reached out to the Archdiocese of Boston and their property manager to try to do some emergency bandaging of that area. And they were able to bandage it up, make sure that no tiling was going to be had the potential falling off or hitting other people. So they, for now, were really able to kind of isolate the situation and fix it. But he did note that that these towers that do hold the bells that we know and love and make really beautiful music, they might need the towers themselves might need some construction work in the near future. And so thinking ahead of time about the financial costs of that and really encouraging his parishioners and the community at large to really step up, as it is such a symbol of the community here in Gloucester and what it represents to not only his parishioners but also every single person that lives here in the legacy of the city.
Yeah,
And all those artists who have painted that cityscape with those towers sort of as a focal point, they're really important.
Mm-hmm.
and we know Our Ladies is accepting donations now as well. Okay, lastly, Taylor, vaccination rules brought to you by Gloucester's Board of Health.
Yeah, so Karen Carroll, the city's public health director, who's been on 1623 many times, and she's been working tirelessly to really make sure that everyone is able to stay not only safe, but really kind of take the next step in getting vaccinated and remaining safe beyond the pandemic. And she announced that the state informed them of a couple of different things. That the first is that about by Monday night, this past Monday night, 24% of Gloucester residents have been vaccinated. So while it's not 80%, it's also not 5%, right? Like it is quite a substantial amount, and 58% of residents who are 65 and older have been vaccinated in the city. So that's over 50%, and they're working hard, especially as the state and the federal government are lacking in getting a lot of vaccines to the state, or they're not able to deliver as much as we had probably expected in the beginning of the vaccine rollout. And the city itself is also seeing a lack of vaccines as the state's trying to distribute them to their mass vaccination sites. So there's a lot of complications there, trying to figure out, how do we streamline the process, get people vaccinated here in the city. But 58% of those 65 and older have been vaccinated. And for those who are vaccinated, if you get both the first dose and the second dose, and 2 weeks have passed since that second dose, the way in which you go about daily life will change. CDC came out with some new guidelines for those who have gotten both doses, and they're saying that those they must still wear masks and while being 6 feet apart in public. And what I understand that to be, and I'm sure there's a lot of other explanations around that, is right. Like we need to keep this mindset of we're all in this together. And that no one's wearing a big sign on their forehead or on their shoulder saying I've been vaccinated. And so to see people not walking around with masks, it would still be pretty jolting. And so that is one thing, that people still need to wear a mask, and it also helps prevent us from getting the flu. That's another thing, is we're seeing that these precautions are really helping mitigate a lot of other illnesses around the city and beyond. But if you have been vaccinated, you can gather indoors with other vaccinated people without a mask, which I think is huge. That is, like, if you were to tell me that a year ago, 2 years ago, that is something that I'd be celebrating, I would have been baffled. But that's like a huge celebration, and thinking about what that means for daily life and how people can just kind of breathe and take that step back. Some other things is that those who've been vaccinated can gather indoors with unvaccinated people from one other household without a mask. And if you've been exposed to COVID-19, those who have been vaccinated will not need to quarantine unless you're showing symptoms. And so I know that's a big difference. And when we think about that 14-day quarantine and how that's really affected all of our working days and daily life here in the city and beyond.
You spent some time in quarantine, right?
I did. If you read my column, I think it kind of implied that I didn't have COVID, and the people that I came in contact with are now super healthy. They've gotten over it. They've gotten vaccinated. But yeah, I was in quarantine, and I really got good at betting on squirrel fights, seeing those squirrels fight for the bird seed outside my window. And yeah, I understand that a lot of people have it pretty hard when it comes to quarantine. And so while I bring that sense of humor, I also want to understand that it's not easy for everybody, and it wasn't easy for me. And I a lot of respect for those people who have to do it all day, every day.
Yeah.
Nicely put, Taylor. Have a great week. We will see you again on Friday.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.